All right, here we go, taking that sweet picking to the next level. So something you could do is work on like the first half by itself, work on the second half by itself. And because of that turnaround that we're having to do this time, like doing the multiple upstrokes in a row and then kind of flipping the pick or flipping the slant of the pick, you might want to start with the second half first. So this way you're not starting with what you're more familiar with and actually start with the weird thing first. But totally up to you how you want to split it up. As always, focus on what gives you the most trouble. And we'll talk a little bit about the theory right after this. Like the big things to remember, big things to keep in mind. All right, so here we go with the A minor over C. 1, 2, 3, 4. On 20. 1, 2, 3, 4. One, two, three, four. And 240. 1, 2, 3, 4. The B diminished over D. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 180. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 240. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Terrible. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. And the C over E. 1, 2, 3, 4. One, two, three, four. On 21, 2, 3, 4. On 80. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. And 240. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So the theory stuff. So remembering the patterns is the most important thing. To me, it's good to know, well, you wouldn't, patterns, visualizing it, remembering what intervals make each thing. And it is good to know how to break things down if need be and know the notes and all that. But it's like once you understand those things, just trying to memorize the patterns is going to simplify it all. So remember, like if you're on one string, at 3, going 3 frets higher, that's your minor third, and then 4 frets higher is your major third. So like your step and a half, that's the minor third. It's, 2 whole steps, that's your major third. The 5th interval is always right there, because of all the power chords you've played. Hopefully that shape is familiar and instant. So it's just that matter of changing the note, changing the third or to a. Bleh, God, this is what I get for starting these things first thing in the morning or right after waking up, and forgetting to turn off the ringer on the phone. Let's do that now. Goodness. Anyway, so recognizing those things is good. So you got the 5th chord. All looks like that, starting on the E, A, D, and B string. So that pattern of like the major, all looks the same, starting on all those strings, the E, A, D, G, and not the G, the E, A, D, and B. And then minor, all looks the same. Starting on the E, A, D, and B. Now, for the starting on the G string, power chord doesn't look like this anymore. It looks like this because of how it's tuned. However, the major third is still 2 whole steps apart, and the minor third is still a step and a half. And then you got the other way we've done it, where the major third, instead of playing it here, we can play it here. That goes along with these kinds of chords that we've done, right? So for the major, it's a fret apart, minor, 2 frets apart. 5th interval is still in the same place. So major, minor. It's going to be the same thing starting in the A string, major, minor. Same thing for the D string, major, minor. And starting on the B string, same thing, and minor. Now, back to the same issue, G to the B string, or G and B string. It's because of that tuning, it looks a little different. 5th interval still in the same place, same place. Let's look at it like this. When we did the major like this, well, how far apart is that? On the major chord, from the 3rd interval to the 5th, that's a minor third apart, a step and a half. So, you can go down like this, step and a half down to the 3rd, there's your root note. And then you look at the minor we did down here. So, for the minor chord, that minor third interval is 2 whole steps apart from the 5th. So that would be the same thing here. There's your root, there's your 5. That minor third is going to be 2 whole steps down from the 5. So major, minor. So that's the only real confusing part there. Now, with those 7th chords, you got to remember we're adding a 7 or flat 7 to these things. And remembering your modes is really helpful. All of the minor chords that come from a major key or minor key are the same thing because the notes are the same. All of the minor chords will be a minor 7. That's an easy one to remember. Minor chords will all be minor 7, turn into minor 7. So there, you got to know your octaves. So that's what the octave looks like, starting on the E string and the A string. So it's just like the power chord, and you use 3 strings. And And then power chord starting on the D string looks like this. And power chord starting on the G string looks like this. So memorizing those power chords is extremely helpful so you can find the octaves really fast. So starting on the E string, it's 2 frets apart, going 1, 2, like that. Obviously 2 strings apart as well. Starting on the A string, same thing, 2 frets apart. Starting on the D and the G string, there'll be 3 frets apart. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So remembering that, to get to the 7, it's a half step below the root. So we say that to simplify it. Just a half step below the root, because it is. Just go down a half step. But typically we want to put that at the higher pitch position in the arpeggio and the chord. So we look for the octave of the root note, which is still the root note, and then go down a half step. So, get that 7th, just go down a half step. Get the 7th, go down a half step. So that's the 7th interval, also known as a major 7th interval. The minor 7, also known as a flat 7, is a whole step below the root. So, go to that octave, drop it down a whole step. Octave, down a whole step. So again, minor 7, all the minor chords will have that flat 7 involved. So you get that minor plus that 7. You can also do it this way. It's just not as friendly. And then major 7 only happens twice, Ionian and Lydian modes. So 1 and 4. So, remember, it's a half step below the root. Get your major this way or this way. And then your dominant 7 is adding the flat 7 to a major chord. So here's your major 7, dominant 7. Major 7, dominant 7. Major 7, dominant 7. So a dominant 7 only happens on chord 5. Always chord 5. And then the minor 7 flat 5 is adding the minor 7 to a diminished. Now you can still use that minor shape to remember what the diminished is. You just gotta flat that 5. So, kind of remembering those patterns is the key, I feel, to making this as easy as possible. As you can see how it starts. So let's say we want that major. We need a minor, the major 7th. So we can see that the octave's right here. Then go down that half step. Same thing for on the A string, it'll be the same. So when you're dealing with 3 strings, whatever starts in the E string will look the same starting on the A string. Starting here on the D string, remember that pattern starts the same, but then you got to see, well, where's that octave? Where it looks a little different. So we got to go down a half step to that. And then visualize the octave here again. Starts, same there on the 1 string. Remember the 5th interval, that's here now. That's the octave. Got to go down a half step though. trying to visualize all those different patterns coming together. So rewatch this over and over again. Take notes. And also write down any questions you have on what I'm talking about here. But the whole point of my going through this is to point out patterns that we started with and that we're building on. So that's kind of definitely a summary there. I'm trying to think how much longer I should go with this before it gets... Well, yeah, so we did that major 7 there. So again, we can take that major 3rd and put it on that string instead. And that's a lot easier to play, I think, versus this one. But knowing how to go between the two, that's important. Because sometimes the bigger stretch will be easier to play amongst whatever else you're doing. Sometimes the smaller stretch will be easier to play. It really depends on the context. It really depends on what it is you're trying to play. So yeah, seeing those patterns is the big thing. So starting off with that root to the 3rd or the flat 3rd, remembering where that 5th interval is, and then remembering how your octave looks, and then going down either a half step to get to the major 7 or a whole step to get to the minor 7th interval. So remember, your major 7 is just your major chord plus the 7. Dominant 7 is a major chord plus a flat 7. Minor chord is your minor chord, or minor 7 is your minor chord plus the minor 7th interval, or the flat 7. And then minor 7 flat 5, your diminished chord plus a flat 7. It's also known as the half diminished 7, but usually you see it written as minor 7 flat 5. And it does make naming things easier when we get into bigger or different chord combinations, interval combinations for different chords. The minor 7 flat 5, naming it that way makes it easier to remember how to name all these other things that'll be coming up. So yeah, just remember, major chord is your 1, 3, 5. You add the 7, it becomes major 7. If you add a flat 7 to that, 1, 3, 5, flat 7, that's dominant 7. 1, flat 3, 5 is your minor chord, plus a flat 7 is a minor 7. You never, ever, 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 ever add a major 7th interval, or just a regular old 7th, to a minor chord in a natural major or natural minor key. Doesn't happen. It just doesn't occur. It happens in harmonic minor, which we're not doing yet. But we've got to get used to one type of thing first before we branch out into even more craziness. So yes, major chord plus a 7 is a major 7. Major chord plus a flat 7 is a dominant 7. Minor chord plus a flat 7 is a minor 7. And then your diminished chord plus a flat 7 is the minor 7 flat 5, also known as half diminished. So there's really just those 4 to remember. Major 7, which happens on chords 1 and 4. Minor 7, which happens on all the minor chords 2, 3, and 6. Dominant 7 is only on chord 5. Minor 7 flat 5. The flat 5 is the big giveaway. Only happens on chord 7. Hopefully that helps. Please write down any questions you got. We'll go over it. And I will see you again in 2 weeks.